women, it was in the Atlantic, I think the name of the article was, separating sports by sex doesn't make sense. It does, of course. They actually wrote the line. It was something like, keeping the binary in sports reinforces the idea that men are bigger and stronger and faster than women.
Mm-hmm.
That's not an idea.
Uh-huh.
You see what I mean about, like, this is insanity, but it was said by some kid who's young enough to think it's true or just want it to be true, and no adult ever said, that's just crazy.
So I've been trying to figure out why this has happened, and you can generically attribute it to a kind of moral decay, but that's not very precise. And so there's a bunch of things that have happened in the last 60 years that I think have contributed to this. And some of them are very complex. So one of them is parents are a lot older than they used to be, right? They have many, many fewer children.
Yes.
Right? And so that's a really interesting one, because that means that comparatively speaking, each child is hyper-valued. And obviously there's some utility in that, but there's some real danger in it too.
Yes.
Children don't have a lot of siblings. And the thing about siblings is they take the narcissism out of you, because siblings compete like mad for attention. And if you're like center of the universe among your brothers and sisters, they're not going to be very happy about that.
Right.
Right. So like, and parents now are as old as grandparents were historically.
Yeah.
Right. So those are radical shifts. And there's another thing that I've noticed too, is that because the separation between the generations now is longer in terms of years by double, there's also there's real impediments to the intergenerational transmission of knowledge about parenting. Like, I was just working with my son the other day with a little bit of a discipline problem he was having with his 14-month-old who was getting pretty bossy. And my son doesn't take a lot of nonsense. He's not a pushover, but he didn't know what to do. And I suggested to him what to do. I told him what to do, but he couldn't do it. I went there with him and showed him how to do it, and then he could do it. But he couldn't do it by being told. And
what were you doing with the kid?
Well, when she got squawky and demanding, I just put her in the crib. So
I see.
Just squawk until you're done, and then you can come out again. And as soon as you're peaceful, you can come out.
I see.
Because...
And even at that age, they can
absolutely.
They get that?
9 months.
Really?
9 months. Oh, yes, absolutely. Now, it depends on the kid. Like,
right.
Not all kids are going to be like that.
Right.
But the kids that are more extroverted and disagreeable are going to be like that.
But even before they can talk, they can think?
Well,
obviously they're...
Yes. They don't... First of all...
They're understanding that you're making a demand of them.
Oh, well, and kids are going to use whatever tools they have at hand.
They're so
to get attention.
Yes, they're Machiavellian kids.
Yes, they are. They are. And then some kids are more Machiavellian than others. And there can be real advantages in that too. Like a kid who isn't a pushover can be socialized with extreme precision, right? Because they're pushing, they're checking out to see where the boundaries are. And so they can really learn to be socially sophisticated, but they're also a handful. So, you don't get a benefit without a cost. Anyways, it was interesting to watch, because even though he's not a pushover, he couldn't figure out exactly what to do without having it acted out. And so now we're extending the gap between generations. And so I think we've interfered with the intergenerational transmission of parenting knowledge. And it's not that easy to know when to put a disciplinary boundary on a child. It's a very complicated thing to do. And it's hard on mothers in particular, because up till the age of about 9 months, whenever your child manifests any sign of distress, your job as a mother is to assume the child is 100% correct and fix the distress. But at some point, there's a transition, because a lot of the distress now becomes anger, and it can become manipulative anger. And so now you have to step back and you have to think, well, now, kid, everything that you're bitching about, you can't get.
Right.
But it's really hard for mothers to make that transition, because they've had to care for this creature for like 9 months and do exactly what they were bidden to do immediately. And all of that was appropriate. And so there's a complex shift that has to take place. And it isn't obvious to me that people can do that alone. So there's lots of factors that have led to this.
Hey, thanks for watching the clip. Hit the subscribe button now so you never miss out on our Club Random content that's posted daily.